Hi, let me introduce you to Kevin. He's a 34 years old man and works as a moto taxi driver in the Philippines. It's similar to Uber but on a scooter, which makes it very affordable and popular. Kevin lives in a small apartment with his wife and a child. He's a man of integrity and strong values. Respect and religion are central to his life. He's the kind of person you might have encountered in the West in the mid 20th century. He never complains about anything. He's a Christian like most Filipinos. He prays once a day, usually in the morning, and sometimes again before going to bed. He left home at 16 after conflicts with his father and spent 2 years without contact with his parents. When he reconciled with his family, it was an emotional reunion, and they've been close ever since. Kevin's wife, who is also from the countryside, stays home with their child. Their apartment is small, noisy, and lacks sunlight. During the day, it becomes unbearably hot, even with curtains to block the light. They don't have a bed or a mattress, they sleep on the floor every night. When I asked if it was comfortable, Kevin insisted it was fine, though it seems very hard to believe. Kevin's baby, called Caden Addy, is 2 months old. Although he's very busy with his work, Kevin is a caring father. There's a hole in the roof, and whenever it rains, water leaks on the floor. The landlord lives just a few meters away but won't fix it. When it's time for work, Kevin puts on gloves and long sleeves to protect against sunburn. The heat in the Philippines is intense, especially for foreigners like me. Filipinos are better adapted to handle the heat, but even Kevin finds it very challenging. Kevin was previously married for 10 years to an abusive wife who often physically hurt him. One morning she told him she'd found another man. He suspected it before but didn't press her to tell it because, well, he's like that. Heartbroken, he attempted suicide twice and begged her to stay, but she left. She returns 3 months later, but by then he was done. Together they had 3 children who now attend a Catholic school. He spends only $2 on himself, the rest goes towards his children's education, which is about $90 monthly, and his rent, which is about $50 monthly, and other basic needs. In Cebu City, where he lives, there are about 3,000 moto taxi drivers like him. Kevin started working at 13, gaining experience in various fields such as construction, logging, tree care, and even as a security guard on cargo ships to protect against pirates. There was one time when pirates tried to board, but instead of using force, he shouted into a megaphone and they left. He also worked as a motorcycle repairman for about a year and spent some time on a pig farm where he started smoking to cope with the smell. In the Philippines, there's little safety or social protection for workers, and Kevin has worked all these jobs under a blazing sun for at least 8 hours daily. For logging, he learned by watching others, often climbing trees and cutting branches with little safety equipment and no formal training. Before becoming a security guard, he went through a 6-month staff training where guards would wake him up at any hour, giving him only 20 seconds to get dressed or perform drills. It was military-like, with humiliating tasks to test his obedience. Being the eldest sibling, he took on these jobs to support his sister's education, a sacrifice that allowed them to become teachers. After a 5-minute ride through the slums, Kevin reaches the bustling streets of Cebu. The traffic is dense, the air is polluted, and the sun is relentless. Despite the competition, demand is high, and he usually picks up a client very quickly. Kevin is a very experienced and careful driver. It's been 15 years he's driving motorcycles without ever having an accident. He's very skilled at navigating traffic, often needing to assertively make turns. While driving one client, he might get another booking in the same time. If he speeds, the company app will notify him and he'll be called in. And then he got his second client. And then no client for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then he jumps back on his motorcycle to get his third client. After a few clients, he stopped for a meal at a small restaurant selling yukoy. It's a Filipino fritter made from shrimps and vegetables. It's very cheap and filling.
Ayo kay ug mag-imo sang kuan ko ano ang kanang ubo nimo.
Sagdan gaon?
After his last client, Kevin heads home, but a small incident occurs. Someone placed a wooden stick on the ground. You can see it on the bottom right here. He tried to maneuver over it, which he did, but right after there was a table, which meant that he could not ride over the sticks again. Since he was holding the bike with the throttle, the bike moved forward and then he hurt his foot.
Is that okay?
Despite the pain, Kevin made sure that this metal plate, which is on the door, didn't scratch me as I would walk in. That shows how selfless he is, all the time. He finally heads upstairs to rest for 3 hours before going out for another 4 hours shift, returning in the evening. At night, as he does every night, he takes a quick nap before going back to work from 11 p.m. until 3 a.m.